have Ari Murillo in the house today. What's up, girl?
What's up?
I'm so excited to have Ari here today. You guys, she is going to bring it, okay? Wait, when I first started the podcast, Fuck, I'm getting nervous. She makes me nervous. This episode is going to be about toxic relationships and then going into a healthy relationship. Ari has been in one. I have been in one, for reference, toxic relationship, as well as now she's in a beautiful, amazing, healthy relationship. And I'm working my way up in there too a little bit. Ari is my girl, and she is honestly just such a vibrant soul. She has so much to share. She the homegirl. Yeah. Because if you know Ari, you know that she's been through a lot, but she just always spreads so much positivity and love, and she's someone you can definitely rely on, and she's gonna have your back if you are in her circle, in her life. And she keeps it real. She gives great advice, and we could use some from homegirl.
Period.
Okay, she's gonna share her story and a little bit, give us some background on, her toxic relationship. All of us have been there at some point, and if we haven't,
sadly,
yeah, but if you haven't, good for you. But if you have, dead ass, if you have,
I hope it continues staying that way.
it brings experience and it brings character. It builds character. And so, yeah, for that reason, it's like slay. Like, if you know, you know. Maybe some of you who have been struggling with a toxic relationship or just got out of one or going through a breakup can kind of get a glimpse of what that new relationship will look like, hopefully a healthy one, and how to maneuver that, because it is a hell of a roller coaster after you get out of not a good, healthy relationship. It is a little scary. So let's hop into it. Let's start off with the toxic one. What are we going to name him? Let's name him something funny. Rato. No, that's kind of rude. Ooh, this is good, girl, because my flaming skills are about to come out. Billy. I'm so sorry if your name's actually Billy, but
that name is so ugly. But
literally, so we're gonna name the guy Billy. Your relationship with Billy, how long was that? How long was that toxic ass relationship? We all stay in it for so long. Fuck.
Me and Billy Bob were in a relationship for 3 years.
Damn, that's a long time.
I know.
Okay, so you guys were in it for 3 years, and it was on and off. Yes. I'm gonna guess.
Yes, on and off 3 years.
Okay, how many times, if you had to guess, did you guys break up? I was in my toxic relationship for 6 years, and I probably ended it like every day. She was toxic.
I feel like we broke up maybe 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Would you ever end it like me? Like, just kind of like, I'm done. Like, silly?
No.
Okay, damn. Okay, so you weren't. I feel like there's levels to toxicity, but it's fine. Anyways.
Honestly, I feel like I wasn't the toxic one.
Okay, slay. I definitely was toxic in my toxic relationship, so that's important. We'll dive into that later. Like, maybe the things that you could have done better.
I feel like, I definitely had my moments.
Okay, so she's aware.
Yeah.
She's taken accountability.
I went to therapy.
Yeah, we both went to the same therapist. We discussed that we were going to send this link to her. Shout out to Michelle. Did the relationship start off toxic, or do you think it was like healthy in the beginning?
I feel like, I want to say back then, it started off healthy, but now, like, the relationship I'm in now, like, no, it was always
toxic,
unhealthy.
even from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think, so obviously, do you feel like you missed the red flags?
Oh, 1000%. And I think it's definitely because, obviously we'll dive into this later, but it's definitely because from my previous relationship before that, I didn't take time for myself and like work on myself.
Okay.
I kind of just avoided those feelings and then jumped into this relationship. this toxic relationship.
So I'm talking in third person. This is cool because I feel like it's also important. Some people, they don't heal. So like you could have gotten out of this relationship not healed again
and done the same thing,
over and over again. Cycle. And I feel like so many people do that until they're like 35, 40, and they find themselves in that position of like repeating the cycle. So before this toxic relationship, you had another one prior?
I wouldn't say it wasn't like that toxic. No.
Okay.
It was just a lot of miscommunication.
Okay, so it wasn't toxic, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, there was certain toxic in the relationship, but I wouldn't describe it as toxic.
Like the one you were actually in, like that was like, okay, this is so bad.
That was bad.
It was. I'm her hairdresser, so, and friend, obviously, but
and like a friend. But she knows. I was in her chair crying.
Literally, and I was still in mine, so I was like, oh, slay girl, like, get through it. And then I finally got out of mine. With you guys starting this relationship, obviously you didn't think it was toxic at first. Later, it eventually turned more toxic to where maybe you were aware. Were you actually aware it was toxic while you were in it? Because I feel like sometimes we don't see it till after.
Yeah, I was aware it was toxic while I was in it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was just stuck. Like, I just didn't want to let go. Like, I was in a comfortable spot. But I, deep down, wasn't really happy.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely. Like, I feel like it was, like, something I would try and, like, talk myself into that I was happy.
Okay.
And I knew it was toxic because it got to the point where I didn't even tell any of my friends what was going on. Like, they didn't know anything until we broke up and I was done with him. And
yeah,
I kept like everything to myself for a really long time.
Yeah, I think that's when you know it's toxic, is when you have to stop telling your friends what they do, because they're just gonna like at that point you know better, but you don't want to tell your friends because they're just going to hate him more. And it's just...
Yeah, I knew better. Yeah. And I think it was just, for me, I felt like it was pointless for me to tell my friends. Or not pointless, but like I just felt like if I'm going to tell them, I want to tell them because I'm done with the situation.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to tell them and then they like give me advice or say whatever they have to say. And like I just still stay in that relationship.
Yeah.
Like I knew I wasn't ready to let go yet. So it was like, I don't want to say anything to them.
I feel like there's a countless amount of things, but what do you think, if you can name like a few things, what do you think made the relationship toxic?
So there was a lot of betrayal in it. That's like the biggest part of it. And then it was also like just, I would say, narcissistic too.
Damn.
And manipulative, like super.
Okay.
And just lying all the time.
A lot of lying. Yeah.
A lot of lying.
I'm gonna add on to that. You probably weren't as toxic, but for me, I'm gonna be agreeing with her because I got my girl. But I'm gonna just take accountability. I probably had some of those traits in my toxic relationship, but I got help. Thank God. I chose to be different.
And I get it. You
actions
get put out of your character because of the way they start treating you.
And I think some people bring out the worst in you. Before I start agreeing, I just have to put that out there. Because some people be like, bitch, you was crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I was. What was the first thing that happened in that toxic relationship that you remember that took a turning point?
The first thing was, it was super early on into our relationship, and I saw that he was like texting his boys chat about this girl on her Instagram. She posts like an ass picture, like kind of like if you're sending nudes.
Yeah.
And he screenshotted it and sent it to his boys chat and was like, I need a smack, meaning like he needs to fuck.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And
you cannot be saying that while you're in a relationship.
Yeah. And we were only like 1 month in, like official.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa.
How did that make you feel?
Like shit. And I feel like that should have been the first time for me to just leave.
That early on, it's like you can't let those little things slip. And obviously you didn't know better.
Yeah,
because it's like your first relationship where that's happening to you. But like, I don't know. That's just blows my mind. How did you confront him, and how did you end up forgiving him for that first time?
I literally confronted him like right then and there. He was really drunk though. Like I had picked him up, and the only reason I saw it in his phone is because he told me to text like somebody, his roommate or whatever, and I was like, okay. And then like I saw like something weird in his boys chat, and I was like, okay, that's weird. So I clicked on it, and then like I scrolled up and I saw like a picture of an ass, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then that's what happened, and then I confronted him, but he was just so drunk. And then I had one of my best friends literally pick me up like from his place. It was literally so late too. It was like 3 a.m, and she drove all the way to the other side of town to pick me up, and I was just crying. And then I just explained it to her. I explained it to all my other friends, and I feel like they were very forgiving. So like that made me feel like I kind of needed to be forgiving too. Like I felt like, okay, maybe I'm being over dramatic about the situation.
Why were they forgiving though? Not in a bad way, but just like,
I don't remember. He like I can't remember exactly what he was explaining. Like, and I
manipulation.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he probably just made it not as a big deal, and was able to like,
and like he apologized and like sent me this long message, and they were just like, well, he's like being apologetic, and like he sounds really sincere and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. And then we talked, and then I was
bitches
like,
101.
cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, literally.
No, it sounds like he's sorry.
Delusion
Delulu.
and delusion 2.
And delusion 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And then what made you actually like, because you guys broke up 3 or 4 times. So what was the situation that made you guys break up?
Oh God, the first time we broke up?
Yeah.
The first time we broke up was actually because of me. So I'll take accountability.
Period.
I basically was hurt about like other situations, and I was talking shit about him to my friends.
It's funny because this would only ever happen in a toxic relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like this, you wouldn't be doing that with your boyfriend now because you love him and you care about him and you respect him.
Yeah, no.
And it's healthy.
Yeah.
I'm over here in my head like the friend that's like so supportive. Like, have you seen those TikToks where they're like, oh my God, like, what do I do? I cheated on him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then the friend's like, girl, didn't he leave you on red yesterday? It's fine. Like, honestly, he don't need to know. Like, that's how I feel. So you were talking shit about him.
Yeah, I was talking shit about him to my friends, and also I was venting to my friends about my ex-boyfriend before him.
Yeah.
And he didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we lacked respect for each other. Like, it just went downhill from there.
Yeah.
Literally from there.
And then it like took turns a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You saying that reminds me of not speaking highly of the person you're with, and, you know, not saying nice things about them, and just like clearly just not respecting your boyfriend. And I just feel like if my little stylers, okay, stylers, those are what I call them.
Oh, okay.
FYI. If you find yourself like not respecting your partner and like bad mouthing them, that's definitely something that's not normal in a healthy relationship, and you shouldn't normalize that. I just want to put that out there. So definitely, if
there's a difference between like venting and like talking shit.
Yep.
And I was talking shit, which I'm not proud of. I'm not proud of at all. Like,
no,
it was definitely something out of my character.
At the end of it, it ended really bad, right?
Yeah.
Like it was all laid out for you. I remember you telling me, so I want to let them know it always ends out with a bang.
Yeah.
And
of course it's toxic.
Yeah.
It needs to be
and
dramatic.
It ends only because it had to, because it was so bad.
To be a whole soap opera.
If you want to share with us, and if you feel comfortable sharing with us, those big ones that led
to like the whole
thing. Just lay it all out on the tables. If you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I feel like I've held this in for so long, and like I've handled the situation very well with grace and maturity.
Yes, you have. I've
Even
witnessed
though
it.
I really wanted to air the shit out, and like I'm still gonna be respectful and handle it with grace, but I also want to tell my story too, like my side of it. We give each other space. A week goes by and we haven't really talked. We talk maybe like once every 3 days within that week or something. And some girl that I know hits me up on Twitter and she's like, hey babe, and I'm like, nice, like, you know that message?
Yes.
And she's like, what's your number, I want to call you. And I'm like, great. And so I give her my number. She calls me and she basically tells me that he's been hooking up with her best friend and that they went hiking together and she really likes him and all this stuff, and that the best friend doesn't know about me. And I was like, cool, like, well, thank you for telling me.
Were you guys together or not together? It was on your break.
It was like literally on our like space, so like we weren't together, but like it happened literally the next day. So it's like it was probably premeditated. I was just like, what the fuck? I confronted him. I called him immediately after. I FaceTime him, and like he didn't expect me to say something, and he didn't deny it. He like was like, yeah, I am, like I have hung out with her, blah blah blah. And I was like, you had sex with her? And he was like, yeah. And like I literally packed all his stuff that I had at my house and I drove over there, gave it to him, and he like, I was like, who is she, like what's her name, like what's her Instagram? And he wouldn't give me it, and then he eventually gave it to me, and like I hit her up and I was like, hey, I hear this and that, like I want to know your side of the story because I know there's two sides to every story, and like I just want to know what's up. She tells me. What gets me so like annoyed is he was venting about me to her in our relationship, and I'm like, why are you venting to another?
That would give me the ick, like immediately. Immediate ick, like as a girl hanging out with a guy, like unless he's my friend. But like imagine you hang out with some dude and he's just venting about his ex, like ew. I'd actually bye.
No, exactly.
Like that's disgusting. That's such a red flag.
I'm not your therapist.
First of all, there's two kinds of cheaters, little motherfuckers. There's the ones that like admit it, the ones that tell you, and then the ones that literally deny it unless you have physical proof.
Yeah. So he admitted it the first time, but then all the other times he denied it.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so that was the first time that happened, and I forgave him, like a dummy 101.
How to be a dummy 101, we'll tell you. I feel like once you break up with someone, it's just all gone out the window. Like, there's no saving it.
No.
I mean,
I agree. Especially if it's like cheating or mistrust or betrayal, just any of that. It's like, there's no saving it. You
lose respect, and it takes so much time, effort, and like actual actions of them truly changing, which I feel like is like a 1% chance. Even Jada and Will couldn't get through it when she cheated on him.
Oh.
What did she call it?
I don't remember.
They couldn't even get through that. Entanglement.
Oh, yeah, I was that. I think it was that.
If Jada and Will can't even get through an entanglement, honey, what makes you think you can get through it?
Reality, please leave.
Yeah.
Like, please.
100%. Love yourself, too, because I can almost assure you that if you've healed and you love yourself and you respect yourself, you won't
deal with that.
Yeah, you won't deal with that. You won't stay.
You won't even, like, accept any red flags from the first date. Like, you'll be like, absolutely not.
You'll leave.
Yep.
Yeah, which is why I went through so many after mine. Not like that. Like I definitely
compulsive dater.
Literally. But no, I wanted to see what was out there. I was trying to see, like,
the best way to do it, though, honestly.
No, dead ass. No. Like, you can call it what you want, but like I dated, one, to have fun after a 6-year relationship, and two, I was
You
in
have to-
therapy.
You have to figure out what you like, and you can't figure out what you like if you're not dating.
Exactly. I wanted to put my tools into play because like the only way you're going to figure that out is by dating.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you can heal by yourself and stuff, but putting yourself out there, like you'll realize what triggers you have and like what kind of people are emotionally unavailable. And so I feel like
it's so easy to heal alone. It's so easy to be alone and have nobody trigger you. Like once you feel like you're healed and you're alone, like it's so easy. It's graceful. You walk and you're like, oh, like I'm healed.
Yeah.
This and that. I'm a bad bitch. And then you get in a relationship and there's just things that start like, I don't want to say trigger you, but like in a sense, yeah, they do trigger you. Like there's things that start testing your triggers and you're just like, oh shit, like I thought I was healed. But you won't know that until you start dating.
and until you have a partner
Yeah.
who is like, I don't know, there's two different people, like the ones that are going to run away and then
Oh, facts.
and then like the one who's actually there to like heal with you.
And is vulnerable.
Okay, so back to Mr. ¿Qué se llama?
Billy,
you ain't leaving just yet. Come back here. What should I call mine? Billy and Bob.
Billy and Bob.
Bob and Billy. What's the longest you guys ever broke up for and then got back together for?
I don't even remember.
Okay, you blacked it all out.
Yeah, no, I feel like I blocked a lot of things out. Like, you're like kind of asking me questions, and I'm like, I kind of don't remember.
Which is why some people go back after a long time because you forget how bad it was.
Yeah, because then you're so focused just on like the good things that happen.
Yes. But don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Let's tell them the tea because y'all, Billy left, like we said earlier, Billy left with a bang. So
Billy did leave with a bang.
I want to get on with her healthy relationship because they're cute as fuck. Y'all need to know the tea. Yeah, the tea was teeing. Y'all, when she came into her hair appointment, getting jet black blue hair, getting a whole ass transformation, and she was giving me all the tea, I was like, damn, like he left no crumbs. He ate.
He did eat though.
He had a fucking 5-star 3-course meal, bro.
You guys ready?
Yes, we're ready.
He was always looking through my phone, and it just made me really upset. And so one day, like, it was just like, why are you always looking through my phone? I felt like it was projection.
Yeah.
And so one day I was like, okay, I'm going to look through his phone. And mind you, I've only looked through, this is my second time looking through his phone. Like the first time was when I saw the picture of the ass. And then this was the second time.
Yeah.
Because you know, ladies, if you're going to look through that phone, make sure you're going to leave. Because if you're not, don't look through it. He was sleeping and I grabbed it and he had just told me his password to it. So I was like, okay, bet. I went to the bathroom and I locked myself in the bathroom.
The way I've been through this.
And I searched every girl that I was suspicious of, like their name and the messages. I found something about every single one of those girls.
With his friends or just like the girls?
His friends.
Okay.
Like all the girl evidence was gone.
Yeah.
There was no messages or anything between
Sneaky
these girls.
ass motherfucker.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
He had deleted everything. Mind you, we were living together. We were trying to look for a place together. Also, we were living together at my mom's place, and we were trying to look for a place together. I had found out that he got a girl pregnant and
Oh my God.
paid for her abortion a few days after my birthday. And it was a whole year before. So I didn't know. I didn't find out till a whole year later. Like it was a whole year flown by that he had got this girl pregnant and paid for her abortion. Oh, I was sick to my stomach, like absolutely sick. And my birthday had just passed. Like literally it was December 27th. Like I remember after Christmas, after my birthday, we just got back from vacation. I just was getting over COVID. Like it sucked. And then I found out he had sex with like 2 other girls. I found out that he had a side girl for a whole year, and it was the same girl that I found out.
Well, you guys were together?
Yeah.
Okay.
The same girl that I found out the first time, and they also took a pregnancy test together.
And homeboys are just listening to everything he's saying?
Well,
or like, how did you find this out?
I found the girl, the mistress or side piece, whatever. I found out about her through a close friend because she called me telling me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hit her up again, and I'm like, all right, like, I mean, I really wish I didn't hit these people up. Like, I wish I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to know answers because he wasn't telling me any.
Yeah.
And of course he's not going to tell me any.
Yeah.
Like, would send me screenshots. She told me she took a pregnancy test. She told me when she took it. And then like a week later is when I found out the time she took that pregnancy test was the same time he found out he got this other girl pregnant and paid for her abortion.
So it was 2 different girls? Or
Yeah.
no, 2 different girls?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
It sucked, and I was really grossed out.
Yeah.
Like, about it, and like I was grossed out in myself too, because it was just like, I'm also being intimate with this person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm also being intimate with Billy, and he's being intimate with like 3 other girls. Not using a condom, obviously, if they're taking pregnancy tests and girls are getting pregnant.
I mean, I've already said this because I low-key know the story, but first of all, I'm so sorry because hearing it again is just so sad. Like, I don't understand. I do understand. One, he has his own issues.
Yeah, he has his own trauma
Clearly.
and whatever that he needs to work on himself.
When someone does that to someone else,
Hurt people hurt people.
And that's where you have to have that, like, you come in with your grace and stuff. Hopefully the cycle doesn't continue.
I know.
You know,
and
with the next person. Because
I pray it doesn't, because the trauma it left me, like, just finding all that stuff out, and just, like, when you find stuff out like this, you go back to that time and just try to piece everything together, and, like, you're just like, oh my God, like, this whole time you were blaming me for something else.
Yeah.
Or, like, you're accusing me of this, and that, but it's because you were doing these things.
Yeah.
And, like, it was just so manipulative and, like, gaslighting, and I thought I was crazy, and then you start to believe things, and then you're just like, what the fuck? But then when you get the clarification, you're like, I was right this whole time, and I should have trusted my gut. But they, like, someone who is good at gaslighting and being manipulative, they know how to make you question your gut. They know how to make you question everything. I was so upset at myself too that I let somebody,
in the sense you let someone have that access. He basically felt the power in a way to go that far to like hurt you in that way. You almost allowed him to think, with this woman that I'm in a relationship with, I can do this kind of, not literally that he can, but like maybe because you forgave him the first time or allowed the red
1000%.
flags.
Like, he probably did have that thought in his head that, like, she's not gonna leave me.
Yeah.
You know?
The girls listening, men listening, I don't think sometimes it's about, like, you know, whether they're sorry or not. Sometimes it's more about loving yourself to, like, not accept that behavior. Because yeah, they're always going to be sorry. They're always going to want to be better and do better and try to grow from it and, you know, save the relationship, and they're going to beg for you and they're going to tell you how they can go about it differently. But, like, you need to love yourself enough to not give someone the power to treat you that way.
Yeah.
It's more about that. Because why are you accepting that? And because now we both accepted that behavior.
Yeah.
So if we can do it, they can do it. But everyone's at their own pace and their own journey. They leave when they want to leave. You were like, okay, I'm not going back. Like, this is ending here. I'm going to go to therapy, heal, and start my journey.
This is going to sound so crazy because I just know I was being
Crazy?
a crazy, girl. So I found this stuff out, and I put his phone back on his charger, and like I wrote everything down in my notes of like names, times, date, like everything. I didn't say anything for 2 days.
You're better than me.
Yeah.
There's no way.
I didn't say anything for 2 days, but the reason I didn't say anything is because I wanted to basically kick him out and leave things left unsaid, like basically ghost him.
Yeah.
Like I was literally just like plotting what I was gonna do. Like I was gonna be very petty. Like it was crazy. Like
yeah,
that was just way out of character of me. Like that's honestly not who I am. And so I collected myself together and I was like, Ari, like you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
And in reality, I wanted answers. I really did. Like, yeah, I could have done that, but I felt like I would have left with like an empty hole in myself, wondering like, why did he do all those things? I sat him down and I basically just said, hey, like, I want to let you know I went through your phone and this is what I found.
That boy was shitting his pants.
He did not expect me to say that. He did not expect me to know that he did those things. That I think the most important, or not important thing, the most thing he was shocked about was that I had found out that he got a girl pregnant and paid for her abortion. It's crazy because even after this, like I was still trying to be a good person, or not trying, like I didn't even need to try. Like I wanted to be this person for him because I know a lot of things that he's been through and it's sad and he doesn't really have much people to like lean on.
Yeah.
And so I am somebody who just wants to be there for people and like be that person that you can lean on.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to be there for him even after all the things that I found out and what he did. And like when I went to therapy, like even Michelle, she was encouraging me to like be there for him because I would tell her I want to, and she'd be like, well, I think you should tell him that you want to, and like I think you should express how you feel and what you want and all this stuff. And I did, and I was still there for him. But even just being there as his friend, like he still lied to me. He still did like things that were betrayal. And later on I found out about those things, and that's when I was like, yeah, like I'm done. Like I don't even want to be your friend. Like I don't even want you to be a friend in my life.
Yeah, because you probably started healing and also like,
yeah, and I felt like I had boundaries and he was still disrespecting those boundaries even as just friends. Like we literally were just friends. Like I was genuinely trying to be there for him.
Okay, one, I'm so proud of you for sticking to your boundaries. Two, I just want to say it's so awesome because it's people like you with good hearts and good intentions and, you know, genuinely just have big hearts for people and like care, like that caring side of you, and you have empathy, and regardless of what he had done and what he did, you had so much empathy and wanted to still be a good friend to him, and you didn't have to do that. And that takes a particular kind of person and strength and ability to really just be a good person. And like, I'm not saying that you wouldn't have been a bad person if you just chose to block, delete, and like see you, but it just shows your true colors and like how good of a person you really are and like how big your heart is. So let's not just fly past that, because that's amazing, and that is why you are one of a kind and so unique. And any person who's lucky to have you in their life, and any man, aka Mr. Jordan, slay, Miss Girly. And I'm sorry you had to go through that.
I got boundaries now though, so don't test them.
So that chapter is closed.
Yeah, that chapter is completely closed.
I want to dive into like finding Jordan, or having Jordan coming into your life, and like the healthy relationship now. We'll talk a little bit about red flags and green flags. What are some red flags that you can name off of the top of your head from that relationship that you would not put up with now if you were like dating, actively dating?
I would not put up with people like continuously lying.
Okay.
Any type of betrayal, no matter how small it is, like it doesn't even have to be like that big of cheating. Like
that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker for me. I'm not even gonna try and understand why you did it, blah blah blah. Like, no.
Yeah.
You did it, done.
Mine's like respect is huge for me.
Respect. Yeah, respect, big one. That's a big one for me.
I would have never known if that was a big one for me, but it is, because it plays a role in each part of the relationship. Yeah. Whether you're there, whether they go out, whether how they talk about you when you guys are fighting, how do they treat you? Yeah. Like, it's just so much. Like, how do they talk to you? Yeah. Like, it's just, I don't know. What.
And I feel like trust also. Like, if I can't trust you, I don't want to be with you. And communication. Yeah. Like, really, really, really big on communication. Like, how you are able to communicate your feelings and express them to me without, like, making me feel bad or belittling or just doing anything negative. Just being emotionally intelligent.
Yeah. Oh, because now that, like, it's not official, but he is putting a ring pop on it soon. Ooh. We talk about it because he is very expressive and communicative with his emotions. But yeah, it's funny that you say the communication expression part, because that's one thing I'm sure that you found with Jordan. But with my man's is how I've never been with a man that's been so communicative and so expressive with their emotions. Yeah. And it's such a big difference. But two, I've realized how much I'm not able to express my emotions based off of that trauma, probably with childhood, but also being in a toxic relationship. You feel like bringing certain things up, it's going to be a big deal, or it's like, oh, you're just starting another fight. And so one thing that stood out to me is you said someone who can express their emotions but by not belittling you or disrespecting you. And I think,
or like even putting a blame on you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like just taking accountability and being like, this is how I feel, without putting a blame on you. Yeah. Like, I don't feel this way because you're doing this, this, and that. Like, I just want to reiterate, I feel this way because the way what you're doing is making me feel this way.
And that requires someone who, one, actually wants to be with you, and two, emotional maturity. Tell them what you learned about yourself in that relationship.
That relationship taught me to honestly trust myself. Like, to really trust myself, to really trust my intuition, my gut, just anything, any way that I'm feeling, trust myself, to love myself, to worthy myself. This may sound crazy, but it sucks what I went through, but I wouldn't change it. Like, yeah, I would not change it. I would not change anything that I went through because it made me the person I am today. I am really happy with the person I am today now. Like, I went through a lot to get here, but I also put a lot of work in myself to get here. Did it stop?
No, we're good.
And it taught me self-love. Like, it taught me self-worth.
Yeah.
Like, every positive thing you can honestly think of, it taught me that.
I also
in a very humbling way. Yeah.
But don't you think that you'd made that decision?
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Because I feel like sometimes people don't hit that rock bottom to make that real decision, because you went to therapy. So therapy, do you think you would have been able to get there without therapy?
Probably not.
Okay.
No.
I think some of us do need that. If there's more internal issues like family and background and things like that, like trauma.
It's just like therapy helped so much too, because it wasn't like, I felt like I noticed I was relying on a lot of my friends' advice too. Yeah. And sometimes, like, obviously your friends love you, but sometimes they can give you they can make your, like, a tunnel vision for you. Like, they can make your decisions very clouded and stuff.
Bored.
Yeah, it's like we were, like, little children, like little babies together. And you know when it's like they're doing something and someone's trying to stop them because they're like, no, they can't do that.
Yeah.
And then there's somebody else like, no, let him learn, or let
like the
them
stove
learn.
top, like don't like touch
like,
it.
let them learn. Like once they touch that fire, they're gonna know not to touch it again. I feel like it was like that.
How did you meet Jordan?
I actually met Jordan, my boyfriend now, when I was 21, I think like 2018. It was when like One Oak was around and like we would party all the time, like just wild.
Yeah.
I met him through a mutual friend, one of his close friends, and yeah, we were just friends, like partying together. It's so weird because like I didn't even think of him that way.
Yeah.
And like he's still, like, till this day he tells me we met, the first time we ever met was at Stegs, and I sat next to him.
Yeah.
Like we were all sitting together and I sat next to him and I was having a conversation with him, and I don't remember any of this. Till this day I don't remember it. And I'm like, but that's why you're like my soulmate.
Oh. What brought you guys together?
It's funny, like it kind of just started naturally, like it just flowed like easily. So he lives in DC. So first of all, I felt like he was into me because he was always liking my stories, like when the likes first came out.
Yeah.
And I was like in St. Martin with my best friends, and like he was liking everything with me. And I was like, okay, so this guy's like trying to hit on me.
Yeah, he wants this.
Yeah. I saw he was interested in me and I was interested back, and then we kind of like DM'd each other. And then he said he likes New York, and I was like, I've never been, blah, blah, blah. And then we were going to plan a trip to New York, and he couldn't go or something. And then he posted something on his story about New York, and then I responded to it. And I was like, if this is New York, I'm coming with.
Okay.
And he always jokes around saying that I DM'd him first.
Yeah.
I shot my shot first because I said that. But he knows what it is. Basically, we planned a New York trip. He flew me out, which is really crazy that I did that.
Were you guys friends? Like, had you guys had enough like conversation?
I feel like, yeah. Like, he invited me to his birthday one year in 2019.
Oh, so it's not like...
Yeah, it wasn't like weird, but yeah, I hadn't talked to him. That was like the last time I saw him in 2019, yeah, or talked to him or anything. It was just like a risk that I was willing to take, honestly. For sure. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. Fuck it. I'm single. I'm dating. Like, let's do it.
Let's fuck it. We ball.
Yeah. I knew I liked him in New York. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember... I was drunk and I Snapchatted my friends and I was like, y'all, like, I think this is the man I'm gonna marry. I just knew instantly, just the way he was, like his mannerisms, the way he was treating me out there, just everything, like everything I wanted in a man. Mm-hmm. He had it. He checked every single box down. After that whole breakup, I took so much time off. We broke up in January. Mm-hmm. And he moved out in February. I didn't start dating. I think my first date was September. Michelle kept telling me, do you want to start dating? Like, when do you want to start dating? And I was like, honestly, like, I don't think I'm ready yet. Like, this and that. And she was like, okay, like, that's fine. And then finally I started dating. And I was like, okay, I'm going to date all these people. And every single time I went on these dates, I remember I made a list of what I want in a man in my phone and in my journal.
I did that too.
Every single time I went on a date, after that date and I got home, I looked at the list and I'm like, all right, let's see what does this man that I went on a date with check the boxes. And if it was something little like, oh, he didn't open the car door for me, or he didn't do this, he didn't do that, and this is what I want, it was like, yeah, no, he's not for me then. It was that simple. Mm-hmm. And with Jordan, he checked every single box literally the first day. Like, I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy.
I have questions. What were some of like the green flags then in the beginning that you knew, like, okay, this is a healthy man?
One, like, talked about women. Mm-hmm. And then like his relationship with his mom. When we were out there, he called her or she called him. I can't remember. But like the way he was talking to her and stuff was just like very respectful, and he was very respectful to me too, just the way he was talking to me, always like opening the doors for me, like the sidewalk rule. So the first night I got there, we ate and then we went to bed because I got there really late. I think it was like 10 p.m. I want to say it wasn't like awkward, but it was just like the beginning of it, of like getting comfortable. And then we went back to the hotel, went to sleep. And then the next day was like where everything was showing. And I remember we sat down at a bar in our hotel and we just like really got deep into like our lives. I feel like we just have the same values and views on our trauma and what we've gone through in life. Like we're not like, oh, poor me, or like this happened and it's just really affected me for so long. Like we're like, this happened, but like I'm gonna grow from it and I'm gonna be okay. And yeah, it sucks, but I can't let that make my whole life, determine my whole life. And I was just like, wow, like this man is very emotionally mature. Yeah. Like he's very aware of his feelings. And then he told me he's also been in therapy before. Oof. And I was like, wow.
Wow. No, because wow.
Yeah. One thing that really stood out to me about him is that he is a man of his word. Like, and I am so big on a man who is a man of his word.
Yes.
Like, if you can't be a man of your word, I can't trust you. If you're telling me, oh, I'm going to do this for you, and then you don't do it ever. Yeah. Like, it's just bullshit. Yeah. And I can't trust you.
That's a red flag.
He is a man of his word. I remember when we were sitting at that bar. So we went to a museum before that, and we walked through a floral, like, shop. And like in New York, the flowers are outside and whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, those flowers are so pretty. And he's like, you want me to buy you some? And I was like, no, it's okay. And he's like, I can buy you some right now. And I'm like, no, we're going to a museum. Like, it's fine. Buy me them after. And he's like, okay. He forgets after, but I don't. So, but I'm like, okay, if he doesn't end up buying me flowers, like he's not a man of his word. And like, I can't trust him. Slay. So we're at the bar and he's like, something is brought up with flowers. Oh, because he sent me flowers to my house, like before New York. He sent me flowers twice to my house before New York. He was like, oh, as a matter of fact, I owe you flowers. And I was like, yeah, you do owe me flowers. And I didn't forget. And he was like, okay, stay here. And he literally walked to the shop or to Walgreens, wherever, in the rain. It's pouring rain outside. And walks back with these flowers. And I was like, okay, like, you're a man of your word. Like, I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
Oh my goodness. That's hot. Yeah. Not that he's up, but like that action, that like, oh my God, imagine, like, that's out of a movie. That has to be like top thing, because I've noticed, especially with my mans right now, like, man of his word, 100%. But there was a few times where I felt like he might not, like, that's the one thing I was like testing, you know, like it would be like little things like, oh, I wonder if on Tuesday he's gonna do that, you know, is he gonna follow up with what he said? And Tuesday would come and he would follow up with what he said. And I realized, though, that was so big to me because it's such a turn off. Yeah, like, low-key, it turns me off.
Like, don't tell me something or promise me something you don't do. Like, why even say in the first place? Like, that's so ugly.
And it makes me lose respect for the dude. And then already that's when I cut it off, because I'm like, if I'm losing respect for you, if you're gonna be my man, you have to be a man of your word, and the only way I'm gonna respect you is by that. And so, period. Like, yes, Jordan. Shout out to Jordan.
Shout out, Jay.
As you got deeper, what stood out to you, because it was a healthy relationship, versus the toxic relationship that you're like, wow, like, this is different, this is new to me?
Just being a man of his word was a big one, because I didn't get that in my past relationship. Like, he would tell me he's gonna do this and that, and not stick to it. And that just like turned me off. Like, I just didn't respect that. I feel like everything that he showed me, I didn't like. That first trip in New York was enough for me to like really cut things off with my ex-boyfriend. Like, I was like, wow, like, everything that you've shown me in 4 days is what I've been asking from my ex-boyfriend
for years.
Years. A lot of it had to do with his patience too. Like, he knew my situation, and he knew to an extent of what had happened. Like, I hadn't told him a lot of details yet, but he knew I was like very traumatized, and like I had a big wall in front of me that was like I don't know if I can break this down. Like, I'm like scared to be vulnerable type of thing. And then I got in this relationship, which is honestly one of the best things that have happened to me. Like, it's amazing and I wouldn't change it. Like, now I can travel with him.
Yeah.
And I can still travel on my own if I want to. He got me out of my shell to be vulnerable again.
You need that person who's secure, and only a secure person, which secure attachment style people are emotionally mature. Beginning, they can provide that for you. That patience and security,
vulnerability and all of that. I love the way he loves me. He's an amazing person, and every day he chooses to love me. And I think that's what love is. You choose to love somebody no matter what. And it's hard because we're in a long distance relationship, so it's like we're both choosing to be in this long distance relationship together, and we're both choosing to love each other, to put the effort in to make sure that it works.
I feel like that's true love.
Yeah, I
like,
think so too.
Do you know how many people break up because of long distance?
I was so hesitant to do it at first. Like, I remember in New York, he asked me, he said, would you ever do long distance? And I said, fuck no. Yeah.
Okay.
And like later on, he told me, he was like, I was like, damn. I didn't want to do a long distance relationship because my first boyfriend, so we dated in high school and then he went away for college and we did long distance, and that was hard. And it was, honestly, I'm going to be honest, it was terrible.
Wait, so what makes it different, that long distance versus this long distance?
The choice of wanting to do it. Like, in my first relationship, that person I feel like didn't really want to deal with like that long distance type of thing, you know?
For sure.
And it was really heartbreaking because obviously it's like your first boyfriend, your first love, and like you're just like so invested and you think you're gonna marry this person, like, and I just thought it was gonna be that way. And I've always heard such negative things about long distance that I was like, no.
But like, you guys truly
but
are just meant for each other too. Like,
and
that's
he's
what
just,
it is.
he showed me he's just an amazing man and that I can trust him, that I was like, okay, I think I can do this. Like, and it's worth it. Like, I'm happy I decided to keep going with it.
Let's wrap this up, my little stylers. So I asked you guys to like give us some questions to ask on Instagram that we would answer. Ookie. It's the way you act. It's the way you act. Okay, first one is how to get past having no closure from a past long-term relationship.
I think you should answer that because I feel like both my relationships
You got closure?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real fucking raw and honest.
Period.
I think, one, you have to give yourself that closure, and two, I didn't get closure for my 6-year relationship, and I think the way it ended, it was actually a blessing in disguise. I hate saying this one. It's true though. Time.
It's true, yeah.
Timing.
Time.
It's time. I think the thing that got me through it, honestly, it's just hard because not everyone has this, was my faith. And
that's a good one.
Understanding that, you know, if that person was meant to be in my life, they're going to be in my life regardless. If you just give it time, like 6 months, no contact, and reassuring yourself, like, I think eventually you get the answers. Eventually you get closure by time, because I didn't know. I didn't get closure. I wanted closure. And the only thing, when I look back at Sophia, who was confused and lost and didn't understand why things were happening the way they were happening, the only thing that got me through it was therapy, my support system, and my faith. And if I didn't have those important key factors, I don't know where I'd be. A lot of those unanswered questions were answered by the experiences I had, by the life I was living.
I feel like now that I'm healed, and if something happened, like, I don't think I even need closure anymore.
Yes.
I think closure sometimes can be a sense of like not having a worthiness in you and insecurities, like just screaming for like, well, why am I not enough?
Yeah.
type of thing.
Thank you for saying that. My whole self-love healing journey plays a whole role of closure. It's like, yeah. Like I love myself to know that that relationship wasn't deserving of me. Yeah. You don't, like, that's my closure, is you give yourself that closure by respecting yourself and loving yourself enough. You get to a point when you put in the work. Yeah. You're like, oh wow, like I deserve better. Yeah. And
having compassion for yourself.
Yes. And that other person. Yeah. Also, like, understanding that you were two individuals that either one didn't know better or two just weren't meant for each other. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And you can still love the person from afar. And I think it's okay to understand that, like, you will probably always love that person to a certain degree because you shared time with that person. Yeah. And that goes for friends as well. Mm-hmm. Like, people who are in your life, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner, but I think it's okay to know that, but that doesn't mean that you're meant to be with that person.
1000%.
Slay. Okay, second question. When do you know to leave?
When do you know when to leave is when you're doubting yourself and questioning the relationship, honestly. Mm-hmm. When you start questioning the relationship and doubting anything, that's when it's like a sign that it's time to go. Yeah. Like, yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
What made you stay in these relationships? Dumb bitch energy. No, I'm kidding.
Honestly, not having self-worth in myself. Believing that I wasn't going to find better when in reality that wasn't even better. That wasn't the best. Mm-mm. You know? Having worthiness in yourself. Like, if you don't love yourself, if you don't have... Okay, so I was watching this podcast yesterday.
Ironic.
They're very helpful. And I was watching one last night. The podcast was about vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And she said something about worthiness. You have to have a strong sense of love and belonging to believe you're worthy to be love and belonging. That you're worthy of love and belonging. Otherwise, you can't form true connections because of fear. We, as humans, form connections. It gives purpose and meaning to our lives. Yeah. It's just a neurological thing, and that plays into also vulnerability. People who are vulnerable, who are really good at being vulnerable, are the same people who show a sense of worthiness. And when, like, you don't have self-worth, you believe that you are not worthy of love, of true love that you deserve, and you stay in these situations. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's honestly what happened with me. Like, I thought that was the best love that I was going to get. Yeah. And yeah. It wasn't. And that's what made me stay for a while.
Yeah, and that's what most of us, honestly, the reason we stay in those relationships mm-hmm. is majority of people, I feel like, lack that self-love and that self-worth. Yes. Which is, we're all going through the same experiences or similar experiences, but no, yeah. Amen to that. That was beautiful. I think we covered everything. Honestly, that was a fire ass podcast, and it only could have been done with Ari. Obviously, I'll have like future people, but honestly, this is probably one of my favorite episodes because we went deep. We did go deep.
I'm surprised I didn't cry. I thought I was. Aww. I really did.
Are you sure you don't want to cry?
No.
Okay, me either. Okay, well, if you guys enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up, favorite it, subscribe to this podcast channel. Yes. And if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to DM me on StylesAfterDark on Instagram or Ari. Oh, look at her already just being that big sister. This is what I mean. This is why she's so amazing. But yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing your story. And definitely will not be the last time we have you on the show. So
thank you for having me on this podcast. I was really nervous.
Yeah, were you?
Yeah, I was. But I'm glad that I came on here and I shared my side of the story. And I'm very proud of myself for being vulnerable, and thank you for giving me that chance and safe space to be vulnerable.
Of course. Perfect.
And yeah, I hope you guys really loved this podcast, and I hope that my story makes an impact on you guys and your life, or any life decision that you have with any relationship that you're in, whether it be healthy or toxic. And yeah,
that's it.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Love
Bye.